Hello, all. God bless you. May the Lord keep you and go before you, behind you, and all around you and give you peace. As you can see from the title of the video, I'm going to be talking about American politics. And I know car video, but it's what I'm enjoying nature right now. I'm actually at a park. But anyway, uh, for some, this might be late. Uh, there's been a lot of political things that have happened, but I live a slower life. I'm not I know we live in a culture where the next topic, the next thing, next trending thing, and we all have to, and people have to react and speak on it. But I'm not that way. I take my time. I sit back and watch things play out before I speak on anything. And if, this is for who it's for, and that's pretty much it. That's all I have to say on that. I don't consider myself late. I just, when I feel like speaking on whatever, or I get prompted by God to speak on whatever, I will. But don't come to this channel expecting for me to just be on top of everything and have something to say. Largely, I don't, because most of it is here today, gone tomorrow nonsense. But anyway, I just want to say that, regardless of who's in political power, God is going to be your ultimate source for everything, every aspect of your life, no matter who's in power. And I encourage you to build up a strong relationship with God, and that His convictions also be your convictions when you make decisions for yourself, and and really your whole life. But anyway, I'm just gonna start from somewhat of the beginning with Joe Biden and his declining health. And Joe Biden was not a good man for the country. He wasn't. Um, a lot of and that's not my opinion. That's just what God showed me. Um, a lot of the decisions that were made in his administration were not divinely inspired wisdom. Decisions were made, but they weren't divinely inspired with divine wisdom. Like, there was no God in a lot of it, I guess you could say, not to that degree, at least. And his administration that proves it. A lot of the things that went on to prove it, like there was a whole, and then Kamala Harris comes up in that whole debacle. And Kamala Harris, as I spoke about in another video, um, she would have just accelerated the already beast system that's here. It just would have been been going on at an accelerated rate if she had came to power. And you know, it has nothing to do with her being a lady per se. It does, but like prophetically, it does. But she wasn't the one. She's not the. I don't think she was the one for all this. But anyway, if you notice, like the Democratic Party ran on personal choices, nothing of real value to the American people, especially not economically. Like, people are, your average person goes to work or has a family or just simply goes to work and tries to make ends meet for themselves. Um, we're seeing the gas prices, we're seeing the grocery store prices. You know, running on abortion and the alphabet community doesn't serve anybody any good. Those are personal choices that people make in their personal lives. They don't affect the whole of America. What affects the whole of America is the economy, which is largely why a lot of people gravitated towards Donald Trump. And the migrant crisis is also a large issue. And you have people here in America who can't afford a house, can't afford groceries, or working and bending over backwards and still can't figure out a way to make things work, make ends meet. And all you're running on is personal choices that have nothing to do with making anybody's life better. That's just how I see it. That's just how I saw the campaign going. And it's like, this is not something to vote for you for. And money is funny. Money is funny, and we have migrants coming in with their hands out and their mouths open, and the American people are seeing this and like, hold on, we got people here, but you're bringing in millions of people who are claiming to be poor and destitute, and we're supposed to, fund foot the bill for that, overwhelming resources and systems, and putting in place another whole undercutting of society with illegal. I'm going to call it illegal migrant culture. That's what I'm going to call it. And we also saw that here, like in Chicago, that you have people asking for resources for decades and not getting them. And a new demographic shows up, and magically the resources are there and the money is flowing to get them secret job fairs, to get them housed, clothing, and fed. No, yeah. Getting them fed, clothed, and housed, and a job. But meanwhile, you've had people here asking for these things for their own communities and not getting them. But new demographic shows up, all of a sudden the pocketbook, the purse is open. And people saw that. And it's just like, it just never made sense. It never made sense. And I have no real clue as to what the real plan was for this mass, really, invasion of people that are really just here are really just here with their hands out and their mouths open, here to take, not to really give or contribute anything. And you can't to say to someone who has enough wisdom that I'm just here to have a good life. I'm just here to work and support my family. So was everybody else in the world. So was every decent person in the world. There's nothing special about that. There's really nothing. I just want to work. Yeah, well, most people want to work or have to work. The sentiment is not moved. So is not moving, at least me, in any way. That's How is that any different from anybody else? It's not. And this is why Donald Trump won. It really is, because people have had enough. And as far as Donald Trump goes, there's really not a lot to say. There's really not a lot to say about him. Um, this is his second time in office. You know what you're getting with him. And as far as, this time around, he seems to be more, you know, understand the game a lot better, so to speak. Like he's not as radical or as loud. He's coming across more presidential this time around than just shooting off at the mouth and shooting from the hip. He seems a lot more put together now that he's already had the experience of being in office once before and has a better vision of what he wants to do. Now, does that mean that Donald Trump is a good man for America? No, he's not. But what God is doing with Donald Trump is breaking the status quo, uprooting a lot of the things that have been in American politics for too long. If you have noticed, there's really nothing and no one, nothing by the hand of man, that has been able to thwart him in any way. There hasn't been. I'm just saying. And God is using Donald Trump for God's purposes, for his people, and for his kingdom to be here as it is in heaven. That does not mean that America will not be punished. America will be punished, unfortunately, for a lot of the wicked things that is allowed to go on. But God is uprooting a lot of the mess and reestablishing his kingdom and his people here in America. And as far as his, what he's got going on with, the racial tension or try to be racial stuff, and it's all under the guise of being merit based. Well, nobody can really believe that because that's not really how human nature works. Human nature is to prefer your own, even under a merit based system. You're still going to choose the best of you, those who share your ideals or share your skin color. You always, it's just human nature to prefer your own. So how that's really going to play out, I don't know. um but it's already here and happening. But there's been generations of people living in this multiple multicultural society. Multicultural society. So I don't think there's going to be a shift, but not a huge mass exodus of really nothing. Because you have to be a fool in business to not know that no matter who's holding the dollar is green. You know, it's this is just we they just had the study of a lot of these like Target and whomever else losing billions of dollars, billions over really nothing. And I think that's largely in part why, if you are upset about the DEI, that would, in my mind, that would be one of the only things, diversity, equity, and inclusion mess. That'd be one of the only things. And now I'm going to move on to just specifically um, using, speaking to the black community. And God wanted you to know this, that a table is being prepared. With all that's going on, a table is being prepared for the black community. It's time to sit down. It's time to rest. There's no need for you to, and I'm proud of black people for doing this. There's no need for you to go out and do anything. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep focusing on bettering yourself, having a connection with God, and be logical and not emotional in what you're doing. And I know in my mom's generation, like the civil rights generation, they're concerned about all the things that in which are going on, mostly about money and funding. Um, that's really what it comes down to, because black people have always had to fight or have a real issue with funding for their communities, for their schools, for loans for businesses, for loans for housing, for all of these things. And I think, and that's largely one of the issues my mom brought up with me, which I already understood. But I think that it's not going to be as big of a deal as people are making it out to be. A lot of the funding that you utilize is from your state and locally. Yes, on a national level, there is funding, but largely it's distributed throughout your state and county and city. And that's kind of what Donald Trump is trying to do, reduce a lot of the spending federally and give it back to states and just cut costs in general. So I don't think we have to worry to that degree. And this, with the segregation stuff, it's more symbolic than not. There are some little things that probably will happen here and there, but largely I don't think anybody has to worry. Like I said, there's been many generations now of people intermingling. mm, you know, have terrible things happen to black people yet and still. Yes, but largely you go in the store and you get your stuff and you leave. Is there still racial profiling? Yes, of course. We know this is black people. But largely anything that goes on governmentally, or anything that's really going on from any of this, is going to mostly benefit the black community. It mostly is, because we are the largest spending power in America. But I really do. That's really all I have to say. I don't want to be on here too long. There's really not much else to say, and No matter what goes on, don't be moved. Stay with the rock, who is God, and don't worry about all this. It's really you're as much as already has happened, you know, life is still going on. People are still going to work. People are still able to do, a lot of things. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. Just keep your eyes on God and be safe, be kind, be wise. Bye bye.